All right, I'm going to use the board um, and basically we're going to talk about your PowerPoint or poster presentation. And I'm not sure how well this will do for recording, but you'll be able to see it at least in the class. So when you think about uh, going to a conference, all right, so usually at a conference, there's two ways to present a poster. The first way is to buy the cardboard tri-fold poster mounts. And there's two little sections, one on either side, and there's a big section in the middle. And usually people print out slides from a PowerPoint and glue them to that poster board. There are some tricks. The first one is what kind of glue to use. And some people try using like Elmer's, and that makes the paper wrinkle. Some people try using a glue stick, and that ends up getting dry and they fall off. So the magic glue for poster boards is rubber cement. And it works great. It'll last forever, and it won't wrinkle your slides. The second thing is you can do some creative things with construction paper. So you can pick whatever color border you want for your slides. And the slides are easy to read if they're just done on white copy paper. But you can have a colored background for them. And the way to do that is, let's say you have a pink piece of construction paper and you print out a slide in landscape and you glue that slide offset onto the construction paper. And even though the background isn't completely around the slide, it still gives it a three-dimensionality with a colored background. Some people use school colors. Some people use a color they choose because of your subject matter. But you can get creative with that. You can also print out a basically a title board for it. It should include first, the title of your model, what you're presenting. Second, the school that you attend or work at. And third, the presenters' names. So let's talk about what goes into each section. And the other thing that people are doing now, but it costs a lot more money, is you can arrange PowerPoint slides all on one computer screen and take it over to printing services and get it printed on a large one piece of cardboard, or it's cardboard that you can roll up, or sometimes it's even on canvas, which is really nice. And that just looks really professional. There's some positive points to that, pros and cons. So the pros are, it looks really professional, but they have to have a board that you can tack that to. Okay, and some conferences just have an easel or a table, so a trifold stands on its own. So you just have to make sure what's going to be available. If they give you kind of a cork board, or a divider, like an office divider, you can tack that larger poster to it, and it looks really nice. But if they give you a table or an easel, you got to go with the cardboard trifold. So you just want to try to find that out beforehand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a trifold, but if you can use the same layout for the one large piece if you want to. For this class, you only have to create the PowerPoint slides. You don't have to print them, okay? All right. So this is the trifold. You've got the big middle section and the two smaller outer sections. You're going to have, this is where you have your title, university, and names. I just want to make sure this is showing up on our screen. Oh, yep, looks good. Okay, so people read from left to right. So we're going to start over in the small column, all right? And when you choose what goes on your slides, people usually stand 3 to 4 feet away from the poster to read it. So you want the font to be big enough that they can read it from 3 or 4 feet away. So you can't just cut and paste a paragraph from your final paper onto the slide, or it'll be too small for them to read. So you have to pick the main points. Sometimes bulleting helps, or picking out one key sentence or something like that. But it's not going to be large sections of your final paper. You're just going to pick the main points from your final paper. All right, so basically, I try to have some catchy intro, and they could be maybe some interesting facts about what's going on with this issue, and but something to draw people's attention. It could even be a graphic, like it could be pie chart, a bar chart, something like that, and people are walking by and they're like, oh wow, I didn't realize so many people were affected by this, something like that, something to draw them in. So the next part is basically you're going to write up, what is the problem and what is the significance? And the significance often lends itself to some type of graphical representation as well. You could use it up here and then talk about it, or you can talk about it and put it here. But it usually ends up with some type of graphic in that part. And remember, I just don't want to miss anything. There's also significance about the quality of life, which is qualitative, and the numbers, which is quantitative. So there's two types of that significance that you want to address. And what I'm doing, I am just following through the sections of your final paper and organizing them in kind of a readable way. All right. So even though your lit review is the largest part of your paper, it's not the largest part of the presentation. But you've got 4 sections in that lit review: what's been done that works, what's been done that hasn't worked, what might work from a different field or issue, what hasn't been tried yet. So, I'm guessing 2 of those are going to be very short. All right, the other 2 are going to be longer. So I usually reserve 2 slides to talk about what your findings were in the lit review. What did you find? How did you answer those questions? Okay. Then, in the middle part, this is the most important part, even though it's not the longest part of your paper. The most important part is the original part. So right here, you're going to have the graphical representation of your model, because that'll be eye-catching. So your model graphic. And then here, down here, you're going to have 2 slides describing your model. So you might have maybe a narrative description here, and you might have maybe you need something bulleted on that slide. But the whole middle section is the title, the graphical model, a description of your model, and maybe some bullets, something like that, So, and then the last part is basically what we just described. The last part is your study proposal. Okay, so you're going to talk about your proposed study. You're going to talk about what measurements you're going to use. You're going to talk about any limitations. Okay, and that is pretty much your poster, but it's also your PowerPoint that you're going to upload to the Dropbox for the final class. So let's see how many slides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So between 10 and 12 slides. That's not too bad. All right, questions about this? It's under a dozen slides, and one of them's just the title. So, you don't have to do it for this assignment. I'm going to have them in your paper. All right. But let's say you're taking it to a conference. What I normally do is, if I would put the little citation after it, like the last name and the year, but I don't have a whole list of references because it just takes up too much space. But I print out the references, so if anybody asks me, I can look at the little citation and I can write down the reference for them. So I just keep the references on my own separate sheet of paper in case anybody asks. What else? So the PowerPoint shouldn't be too bad. It's 12 slides. It's really simple, and you're not recreating anything. You're gleaning things from your final paper. All right.